Greetings, fellow freethinkers. The event you're about to watch was hosted by the Center for Inquiry, an educational and outreach organization dedicated to defending and promoting science, reason, secularism, and free inquiry in every area of human endeavor. My name is Justin Trottier, and as Executive Director of CFI Canada, I would like to take a moment to tell you a bit about us. CFI Canada currently incorporates CFI Communities for Inquiry in Calgary, Montreal, and Vancouver. Over 30 affiliated student organizations from coast to coast, and of course our headquarters here at the Centre for Inquiry, Ontario. CFI Ontario, located in the heart of downtown Toronto, is the first Canadian branch of CFI, and is the first dedicated event and meeting space for all humanists, skeptics, and freethinkers in the nation. Our mandate encompasses a robust public education series, campus outreach to a growing network of student freethought groups, community outreach and social services, to provide secular and humanist alternatives to religiously monopolized services and activities, and a lending library and media center that, among other things, broadcasts videos like this across the planet. To learn more, please visit us at www.cfiontario.org, to get on our email list, or to learn how you can support our movement, such as by becoming a friend of the Center, a CFI donor, a volunteer, or to launch or affiliate a new campus or local group. Contact us today at ontario@centerforinquiry.net. That's C-E-N-T-E-R. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the video. I'm now going to call up Larry Moran. Professor Moran is a professor of biochemistry and a great supporter of CFI, a faculty advisor, in fact, to the UTSA, and an advisor to CFI Canada. And he will introduce our speaker for tonight, Professor P.Z. Myers. Dr. Moran.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you, Kate. Paul Zachary Myers is better known as PZ to his American friends, but here in Canada we call him PZ. And I just learned tonight that he actually prefers that because it sounds a little more distinguished. So we can be proud of the fact that we have a different name for him than his American friends do. He grew up near Seattle, Washington, a fair number of years ago, not as many as you might think. He attended the University of Washington, where he graduated with a biology degree, and then went on to do a PhD in biology at the University of Oregon in developmental and neurobiology. And from there he moved to Temple University in Philadelphia. And I first got to know him when he started participating on the evolution creation news groups on Usenet. These are internet sort of listserv kinds of things. And this is where the fight between evolution and creation takes place. So he and I got to know each other over a period of many years, and then we met occasionally from time to time. He eventually moved to the University of Minnesota, to the Morris campus, which is in the western part of Minnesota, and started his blog, Pharyngula, which many of you are familiar with his blog. And all I knew was that he disappeared from the news groups. Well, he showed up occasionally, but he wasn't there, and so I just thought he kind of evaporated into thin air or something. I didn't know anything about blogs, and certainly didn't think they were very important. A couple of years ago, we took a trip together to England. It was kind of a pilgrimage. We wanted to see Charles Darwin's grave in Westminster Abbey and the Natural History Museum, and visit Down House where Darwin lived for most of his life. And while we were there, he said, well, he was working on his blog from time to time. He has a little laptop computer he carries around. He said, oh, he's invited anyone who wants to meet him at the Natural History Museum on Saturday afternoon to just sort of stop by. And I said, okay. So I put a notice up on Talk Origins, 1,000 messages a day, right? So meet us if you want. So we went there, and there was over 100 people were there. And I thought, great, look at the power of the news groups, right? None of them had from Talk Origins. They were all Pharyngulites. They were all there to see this P.Z. Myers, famous scientist, famous atheist. So I realized that there was something to blogging. And I just checked this morning, to see how many visits a day he's getting on his blog. 77,000 visits per day on Pharyngula. That's far and away the #1 science blog in the entire known universe. A lot of people are reading him 2 million a month. It pales in comparison to Huffington Post and a few other sort of political things, but as for a mainly science blog, that's pretty phenomenal. Now, most of you know that he doesn't just blog about science. That's the best part of his blog, but he's also an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. And he's here to talk to us tonight about the war between science and religion. He's Ed.
Okay, what a crowd. What Larry didn't tell you is that on Talk Origins we had a reputation. Larry and I were kind of the Waldorf and Stapler of Talk Origins. The curmudgeons who were constantly heckling all the other people. So that's just to let you know that turnabout is fair play. If you've got questions, if you want to interrupt me, if you just want to heckle or throw rotten fruit, I would find it very entertaining. Just feel free. Okay. Okay, so here's what I'm going to talk about today. There's a couple of problems I had with this particular talk. I've given it at a few other places, and when I was reviewing it earlier this week, I realized it's very America-centric. And did you guys know you're in a foreign country? This is Canada. So, you know... Oh. How shocking. Okay, well, I will cope. So I had to think, and I thought either I could rewrite this or I could just say, well, you guys, you know that the United States is kind of a dangerous mess down south. So maybe you're interested in hearing about what's going on down there. And maybe you'll enjoy the fact that I'm going to tell you that there are a bunch of nuts living down in the United States who are causing lots of problems. So I said, okay, we'll just stick with this as it is. And what I really want to talk about here is something that some people will argue with me about. And I get a lot of arguments about this, and you can see it right in the title. And Larry mentioned it, the war between science and religion. Many people say there is no war between science and religion. That of course they're compatible. And then of course we reply back, no, they're not. They're not compatible at all. There's a serious conflict going on here. And that the real root of the problem is the denial of this particular conflict. That what's going on in the United States is that we have organizations that are striving to improve the teaching of science education, and they steadfastly refuse to address the substantial issue underlying it all, that creationism is not a secular institution. It's got a religious basis. And so we fight a lot about this. I'm on a couple of groups where we occasionally get into these big arguments about tactics and strategy in dealing with creationism. And you know, many of them will say the appropriate strategy is to be really kind and generous to the religious side, avoid antagonizing them, don't make an issue of it. And I think that's doomed to failure. What I'm going to do today is tell you is why I think that's doomed to failure and why it is failing. It's a big problem. But before I do that, let me just say one thing that I think everyone will agree with me on this one issue. And you know, when I talk to people who are the type who like to accommodate to religion, even they will agree with me on this one. And that is this key issue, is that the science classroom must remain secular. Now, I choose my words carefully there. I'm not saying that the science classroom should be atheist. That's not what I mean at all. I do not think that when I go into my science classroom at the University of Minnesota, that my job is to indoctrinate my students into atheism, or that my job is to break them from religion's grip. There's too many other things to do. Science is a complicated topic. We have lots of work to do. So that would be a distraction. That what I want to do is I want to be able to go into the classroom and without interruption get my students engaged in the study of science and just focus on that. I've only got them for a little bit of time. Let's stay on topic. So I think we all agree on this. Let's keep atheism out of the classroom. Let's keep religion out of the classroom. Let's just keep it straight science and worry about those other deeper, bigger, greater philosophical issues in other venues. Now, fortunately, I've got some good news.